Check, check. Check, check. Since Johnny's last, Johnny, first will be last and last shall be first. Johnny is going to say a little prayer for us.
We thank you for this day, and we thank you for all the blessings that you give each and every one of us. And we don't ever want to take those for granted. And we just ask that, for your wisdom as we conduct business for this great state. Be with this committee, be with everyone here. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. At this time, Mr. Barrett, we would like to hear if you would like to present your bill to us, Carter Barrett. No, do it from down there, please. And this is House Bill 1053.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to apologize for being a couple of minutes late. I had a page and she was standing in line to get the picture made. And
did you break the camera?
I don't know yet. We'll see when I see the pictures. Definite possibility.
It's LC 500613. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all for your time today. House Bill 1053 is a bill that deals with central bank digital currency. And a central bank digital currency, or sort of known as a CBDC, is a form of a digital currency issued by a central bank. And presently, the Federal Reserve of the United States is contemplating creation of a central bank digital currency. If they do so, this would aim to sort of supplement and could eventually replace the American dollar with a digital currency. House Bill 1053 is a simple bill. It's a straightforward bill. It's a short bill, but it's an enormously important bill, in my opinion, as a former banker and bank CEO. House Bill, as I said, House Bill 1053 will discourage the creation or implementation of a CBDC by the Fed. It does so preemptively, blocking state agencies from accepting payments using a central bank digital currency or from participating in any test of such a currency. This will discourage the issuing of a CBDC and stun its adoption in the event that it is something they're going to move forward with. Why is this important? This is really a privacy bill above all else. The idea of adopting a central bank digital currency would be just a tremendous invasion of privacy for Georgians and for Americans in general. Replacing the dollar potentially with a central bank digital currency would give government access to every single thing, every penny that you spend your money on, and that just feels like a huge invasion of privacy. The government would essentially know every single dollar you spend. It just gives them an unprecedented level of control over you and your life. It's very possible that the CBDC could eventually be used as a political weapon with the information that's gathered. The temptation for government to use this type of information to target political opponents, regardless of party, is chilling, to say the least. A central bank digital currency could even determine and it has determined in certain countries that have already adopted these things, even how you spend your money or are allowed to spend your money. I had an example once of someone that I knew of a story as an elected official of someone who went and pulled up a financial disclosure report. And then they used that very basic information we've all done them. When we know what's in those things, there's not much in them. They're pretty basic. They actually took that information, fabricated some crazy information, and then disseminated it all over the place to folks in an attempt to undermine me. And the information in those reports is pretty basic. We've all done them. Imagine if you had a similar type person out there who had access to every dollar you spend your money on. and imagine the mischief that could be done with that information. So that's an important example and a real life example. On top of the privacy issues, which are paramount in this bill, it would also undermine banks and credit unions in the United States. And we've got people here today, I think, who are going to speak to that issue. The Georgia Bankers Association, the CBA, the credit unions, they're all in favor of this legislation. The bill itself is very simple. It's a two-pager. When you get past the definitions and everything else, the last line, line 35 and line 36, no governmental agency, a Georgia agency, shall accept a payment using central bank digital currency. And no governmental agency shall participate in any test of the central bank digital currency. There are 4 states that have already adopted legislation similar to this. There are 4 states who are about to adopt legislation similar to this. There are another 11 states who are moving legislation like this forward right now. The idea is to send a message. This really is a statement bill that says, you know, what we have works pretty well. As citizens, we're not really, we don't want our citizens to have government know every single thing they're doing in their lives. There's too much of that already. I carry this prop everywhere I go, just about. I keep it on my desk in my office. This is a very elaborate dragon made out of Venezuelan currency. And I get a kick out of that because this dragon, it kind of gives you an example of what can happen when governments run amok with profligate spending and wild fiscal and monetary policy. You know, our national debt has mushroomed. The last time we balanced a budget in America was in 2001. It's been 23 years since. You can't spend $6.5 trillion a year and take in $4.5 trillion a year and not predict the outcome of that. We have rampant inflation that's affecting every single family in America now. You can thank that. We can look to our federal government, to our fiscal and our monetary policy with the Federal Reserve, and you can sort of figure out how that has resulted.
Would you mind going over the second page, because none of
Yes.
us have the second page, and they're bringing it over here right now, but we noticed we did not have a second page to this bill. So if you could go over that with us in the meantime, we'll get that over here.
Yeah, the second is very short. It gives the definitions of a central bank digital currency. A central bank digital currency means a digital currency, a digital medium of exchange, or a digital monetary unit of account issued by the Federal Reserve System, a Federal Reserve Bank, a federal agency, a foreign government, a foreign central bank, or a foreign reserve system. That's made directly available to a consumer by such entities, that is made available to a consumer by such entities indirectly via a contract with a third party or otherwise, and that is processed or validated directly by such entities. Governmental agency means any board, commission, department, authority, other agency, or political subdivision of the state. And finally, the meat and potatoes of this bill, 2 lines. No governmental agency, meaning Georgia agencies, shall accept payment using central bank digital currency, provided they create one. And it also says no governmental agency shall participate in any test of a central bank digital currency. 2 lines, essentially. And what it's saying is, no thank you to the Federal Reserve creating a digital currency. The system we have works well now. The potential for mischief is astounding. It's appalling. We do not want a government knowing every single thing you do every day of your life with every penny that you have. It's dangerous for our citizens. And so this bill is designed to follow suit with other states like Florida that adopted this legislation last year, to say, no, thank you. The system works well now. We appreciate everything that we get out of Washington, D.C., but Georgia does just a fantastic. The more time I spend here, the more excited I am about how well we run our state of Georgia, and we balance our budgets. And I think, and I see, and it's a nice contrast when I look at what we do here, the top state in the nation to do business, balanced budgets, surpluses. Then I look up there and I think, we need some more of our folks. Excuse me. We need some more of our folks up there to sort of carry what we're doing in Georgia up to DC, because we have challenging situations right now.
Right. You have one, we have one question.
Yes, sir.
17. Representative Hughley.
Chairman, to the author of the bill. Two things. One, if this is just a statement, why are we not sending a resolution as opposed to passing a bill?
I'm sorry, it's actually not a statement. I'm saying we're sending, I should have said a message. We're sending a message with this bill. What this bill actually does is says, should you create a digital currency, Federal Reserve, we're opting out. We're not going to participate in your pilot program, and we're not going to accept payments in a central bank digital currency either. We have other ways to do that, and we're satisfied with how we're doing it now.
With the advancement of technology and other things, why would Georgia want to close itself off before knowing, what's involved here? It's my question or my query.
There's a difference. We are very digital right now,
Right.
right?
Everything you do is with a debit card or credit card, so they know everything you do now.
Not everything, but we do have something we have one step between us and Big Brother knowing everything we do in our lives. It's intermediaries. It's when I use my credit card or you do, there's a bank or a credit card processor. There's a processor out there that's an intermediary between you and the federal government. Okay. And something else called the Fourth Amendment is also between you and the federal government. And so we just think that the system works beautifully now. Let's not go pioneering with people. Honestly, my confidence, trust is important, and trust needs to be restored a little bit. We're running massive deficits. Inflation is affecting every family in this country in a profound way. When I bought a thing of deodorant the other day that used to be a $4 item, I think for my entire life, was a $10 item the other day. This is going to have a profound effect on every family in this country. That courtesy of your federal government and the Federal Reserve. So I'm thinking we've given them enough authority. The Federal Reserve was created in Jekyll Island. The first meeting was 1910. It's ironic that the Federal Reserve was concocted in our state in Georgia. I can't think of a better way to pass this great bill than to see if we can't get the governor to sign it in Jekyll Island.
Number 24.
The CBDC currency.
Would you say that again?
What other states are considering this type of legislation?
The states that have passed are Florida, Indiana, North Dakota, and Alabama. There are 4 states close to banning it: North Carolina, Texas, Louisiana. Louisiana actually passed it in both chambers, but it was vetoed, and Indiana. They passed one bill. There's a second one passed in one chamber. There are 11 states that have introduced it this year, including Georgia, of course. Indiana's got a bill, Idaho, Iowa, Mississippi, Missouri, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, and Utah.
Thank you.
Or 16.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I keep hearing you say the federal government. Has something occurred to the reason? What has occurred to why you think we need this? Has anything occurred as it relates to digital here in Georgia?
The potential.
Potential?
This is a preemptive bill. It's a preemptive measure to say we just don't want to participate. We don't want to do it. We think that there is potential. We see weaponization of data all the time, and we're all elected officials. We see what can go wrong when people have too much information, and it just seems like a bad idea when you've got something that works very well, and we are entrusting ourselves to the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve and the federal government. I give you the rampant inflation that you're dealing with now. In 2000, I started telling everybody I know about inflation in 2013. I ran a bank, a small bank up in Forsyth County called Community Business Bank, and I was the CEO. We had a $28 million bond portfolio, which is small. We were a small bank. And I said, inflation is going to hit us like a freight train. This is common sense. this insane, this profligate spending, these huge deficits that we're running will only result in inflation. I took our entire bond portfolio in 2013 and I reconfigured it to get very short on the duration because I thought when interest rates run up because of inflation, we're going to get clobbered in the value of our bond portfolio.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna have one, I got one more and then we've got 3 people signed up and we've got a
All right.
couple more bills and I know people are hungry and let's, Mr. Douglas.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I came in on back into this and I'm kind of hungry too. But I hear these quotes that you make about the federal government, this and that, but we all work for the government. So why do you work for the government? That's my first question. And second one, do you have on deodorant today?
I do.
Because of inflation. You know what I mean? You said you was in the store and inflation was up and the deodorant was $10. Did you buy something?
Yes, sir. I do.
Okay, good. So we can still make it.
So this is my third committee presentation since I've been a legislator in a year and a half. So I'm not sure if it's doing an adequate job.
No,
I'm
you're
sweating
fine.
right now.
You're doing just great.
I believe Mr. Brandon, you wanted to speak to the bill? Okay, Bo, would you like to introduce yourself to us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I am Bo Brannon with the Georgia Bankers Association. We represent community and regional and globally active banks in the state of Georgia. We come here in support of HB 1053 today, and we thank Representative Barrett for bringing it. As he said, thankfully, there is no central bank digital currency currently in the U.S. The Federal Reserve, like you mentioned, is studying its efficacy. We don't believe that there is a business case to implement such a digital currency. The adoption would pose, like you mentioned, many risks and challenges. The primary one being that it would cannibalize rather than complement the services provided by the U.S. banking system. And that's not us saying that. That is a direct quote from Federal Reserve Governor Michelle Bowman, who has been an outspoken critic of the concept. She points out that the issuance of a CBDC would set up the Federal Reserve to be the direct recipient of deposits from consumers and businesses in the United States. This central digital currency would replace those deposits that folks entrust with their local financial institutions. And so rather than a local bank having those deposits and then taking them to recycle in the community in the form of loans, the federal government would hold those deposits and decide how to loan those dollars out. And we do not believe that that is the role of the federal government to be involved in the credit making decisions. So because central bank digital currency threatens the health of the U.S. financial system, we believe the state of Georgia should go on record as that CBDCs are not an acceptable form of payment. And we hope that you will pass Representative Barrett's bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Cash Trivedi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cash Trivedi with the Georgia Credit Union Association. I was going to say everything Bo did, but far more eloquent than I. Just want to express our support for House Bill 1053. And thank you, Representative Barrett.
Thank you. Next we have Cole Muzio.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. Cole Muzio, President of Frontline Policy Council. Want to express our support for HB 1053 by our friend Representative Barrett. Want to express our support for his $10 investment in deodorant as well. And you know, part of that, you know, you work for the federal government. You know, if that were the case, you don't have to ask him if he made that purchase. You don't have to ask what kind of deodorant he purchased, and you don't have to ask what kind of political affiliation that deodorant may have. And that's the big reason we're here to support this bill. It's about making sure that we don't cede that kind of power and information and authority to the federal government to intrude on our individual rights, our states' rights, and the rights of our businesses and financial institutions. So we support this bill. Our business coalition supports this bill, and we're excited to see it pass. So thank you all for consideration.
Thank you. I'm 22.
A couple of minutes here real quick about what I think about the bill. And I've been a community banker in the same bank for the past 32 years. And just what Mr. Brandon said too, our ability to now is as we go out and work hard to get our deposits and build our banks, we want to be able to make sure that we have the ability to lend as we can based on the current laws of Georgia. Bankers we feel like we're policing the whole world. We do large currency transaction reports. We do monetary cash reports. We report on everything there is to report on, seems like. And this would be a really bad situation for the community banks in Georgia. And appreciate Mr. Barrett for bringing the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more question. Number 17.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make sure that I'm clear that you're saying that this central, whatever, CBDC will undermine small banks. Is that what you're saying? Because the deposits will go straight to the federal government and not to the banks?
If you're clearing directly through if it's a transaction direct, and there's no intermediary, there's no bank, there's no need for a bank, right? If everything you do is through a digital currency that the Fed is in control of, absolutely correct.
So if the rest of the country does this and Georgia has this prohibition, what will that mean?
The purpose of this, but we can't stop the Federal Reserve from doing this.
I'm
We
just saying-
have no control over the Federal Reserve and their ability to create a central bank digital currency.
Mhm.
What we do have the ability to do is to say, we're sending a message that says that we don't think it's a great idea. We don't want to participate in your pilot program if you do, and we don't want to be paid in it if you do create it anyway. We can't stop you, the federal government. We're the state of Georgia. But we can certainly make a point that we're not interested. I don't want your whole life on display so that someone else can see everything that you're doing, every dollar you're spending your money on, potentially directing how you spend your money someday, because we've seen examples of where things get politicized. And I don't want anybody, any party, any person having to worry about things like that. Not you, not me, not anybody in this room.
Okay, number 26.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make at the proper time of that.
Now's the proper time. So we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we had 2 no's. Okay, your bill passes. Next, we have, do we have, Representative Ridley, would you like to
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
move to the front? Yeah. And the LC we're looking at is 55024-7S.
Yeah, come on. I got 2 chairs up here.
I'd also like to recognize our special guest, Senator of the Rules, Senator Matt Brass. Thank you for being here today.
Hey, did you see how short he is? He just walked under this.
I didn't walk. Hard to get up.
Y'all be mighty kind to him. He's going to help us get a lot of our bills passed. So, what's that? All right. At this time, let's turn our attention to Representative Ridley and tell us what we're talking about. Is the LC 55024-7S?
Yes, sir.
All right. The floor is yours, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm going to let Senator Brass talk for just a brief minute if you want to go ahead and explain the history of this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Lieutenant Governor Floor Leader.
Thank you.
So last year, you may remember, we brought forward SB 254, and it was to really an introduction into an industry that many of us knew and still know little about, and that's around earned wage access. And so last year, what I had done is I'd gotten all the players together, and to be clear, this industry is already here, it's already going on. But what I wanted to do is I got all the players in the room, and we came up with definitions, and so that we as a legislative body, or bodies in this case, we're really kind of working off the same sheet of music, and so that we're all speaking the same language, because it is an industry that needs to be regulated, and I anticipate we will have bills pretty much every year moving forward on this.
And so we need to all be speaking the same language. So I wanted a bill that, number one, laid out definitions. Number two, I wanted to make sure that we weren't picking winners and losers, because there are different models that are used within this industry. And so that was really the goal. And then the third goal and the most important goal really is to put forward some consumer protections. Now, I'll be the first to admit I had those consumer protections pretty broad, but it was just mainly so that we could get that baseline bill down and all be speaking the same language. And, you know, we got over here and there was the wisdom of this committee wanted to have more consumer protections, which I'm all for, and I was going to be all for eventually, but to get us started and to get us a bill and get these definitions, that was what I brought you. Now, what you're about to see, I'm not real sure because I hadn't seen it, so I'll speak on it later.
Okay, Mr. Ridley, proceed.
All right. I've never been pretty enough to have 3 or 4 girlfriends, but after this experience, neither do I ever want to have 3 or 4 girlfriends, because that's what it's been like getting this bill together, trying to get everybody on the same page some days. But I think everybody's been great to work with. We took everybody's concerns and tried to do it the best ability where it kind of helps each different type of vendor out here that does this type of work. And basically the bill is like he said, if you'll go through basically from line 15, it goes through making definitions of what consumer means, explains that, what consumer directed wage access service means, line 25, earned but unpaid income means, and you can just follow it down through there about different things, what an employer is. It goes through all that. Basically what this is more than 54% of the people in America, they live paycheck to paycheck. I'm glad to be a part of the 54%. So whenever things get kind of tough, you're getting paid every 2 weeks or once a month, then you need access. You've worked already, you've already earned that income. So what this does, it's not a payday loan. It is like one industry here is Chime that you can actually, through your checking account and stuff, you can get money from up to 50% of the money that you've already earned, put in your account. When you get paid, then it just pays them back. There's no fees associated with that. And there's some different models, like Chairman Brass was talking about. But like I said, what we've done here is just kind of put all the consumer protections in here we could. The biggest change is you're going to see, I think it's line 53C. And what that does is we did put a cap on fees that it cannot exceed more than $30 a month within 1 month. That keeps it from doing a transactional fee every time that somebody uses the system. And we did away with tipping fees. I know that was a hang up last time. Whenever you go on the website, it asks you if you want to tip or something. So we did away with those. And that's pretty much the bill. And I think we have some people that want to speak on it.
Okay, I think we have one question, Representative Chastain.
Question, Mr. Ridley, so if I'm working and I get paid every 2 weeks,
Mhm.
and I've worked a week, I would get paid half of that?
You could, yes, sir, if you wanted to. So let's just say that you make $1,000, you make $500 a week. You've worked a week, so you got $500 eligible. You would actually be able to go ahead and get $250 of that, 50% of what you've already earned. When you get paid, then that $250 will just go back to the bank, or to the lender here, with no fees on some of these. But if there is a fee, it's $30 cap on that fee.
One other question.
Yes,
And
sir.
the employer would set that fee?
No, so the employer has nothing to do with this.
Okay.
I think they got to be notified, like whenever you ACH, I guess they get that information from them, but the employer's not.
Okay.
They're not doing it or anything. Actually, like Chime, they're a company that's under Bancorp. You have your own checking account, own savings account, debit card. It's FDIC insured, all the same things as bank. It's just I guess like an arm of Bancorp that they use this system with.
Okay, thanks.
17, Representative Hughley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to both gentlemen there. On this $30, that's $30 within 1 month. So if there's two pay periods, that still would have to come within that $30.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
So it's not per, it's just one time.
That's, yes, it could be no more over $30, no more than over $30 per month.
Okay. The other thing is on the disclosure for fees and being able to cancel without a fee. Walk me through how a consumer will see that.
Where are you seeing that at?
So line 71, you say they have to fully and clearly disclose all fees or schedule of fees associated with that. How will the consumer see that? What format would that
So if
take?
you go to the bank now and if you go to the bank now and you open up an account, they're going to give you a fee schedule in your package whenever you open up that account. So that's what this is saying, is they have to fully disclose any kind of fees or anything the bank does or the company that you're opening up an account with.
So I don't have to sign off on that as a consumer that I've seen that?
I don't think that would be a Johnny Chastain question. Yes, I think you do have to initial it.
Okay.
Okay, number 21.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a couple clarifications. Appreciate the work you've done on it. I know you've worked hard and I tried to help as much as possible last year. And I like where we're headed. Couple comments. One, just to clean up. This is not a lender. This is a service provider.
That's correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure I heard you say lender. And I don't think you intended to say lender.
No, yes. No, we're not. This is not a lender.
Yeah. This is not a loan. This is access to funds that have already been earned. Number two, I understand the impetus behind removing the fee structure or the tip structure. I don't want to necessarily mess with the bill or suggest any major changes today. I would just say this and let the committee and for the sponsor to consider this. I think last year my testimony was that, a tip option as a consumer, if you want to tip a service provider, I think you as a consumer should have that option. I don't want to dictate so much to the market that they can't provide that option. My desire and what I think most consumers prefer is that tip option, if you have it, that it automatically starts out at zero. So you as the consumer are forced to make a decision if you want to tip. And I think that's a fair option if it's going to be an either or, a fee or a tip. Again, I'm not suggesting you make any major changes today. I just think that that's an important distinction that I don't think we as a government should be overly prescribing something that's a service provider. It's a contract between a consumer and a company that wants to provide a service that there is obviously evidence that there's a demand of. So just want to share that, but I like where we're headed with the bill and appreciate the efforts and work.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the group? We have a do pass. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? You have your bill, and Mr. Rules Chairman, y'all work together. We have 5 or 10 minutes left, and Representative Hilton, would you like to come to the podium? And you're speaking on LC 520458S. Is that
Yes,
correct?
Mr. Chairman. Yeah. I understand we got a healthcare meeting here behind us, so I am going to speak real fast. This is the mortgage trigger lead bill that we discussed about a week ago. If you flip to page 2 with me, first 2 lines of definition, then we get into the definition of a mortgage trigger lead. This is a lead that's triggered when you, the consumer, apply for credit and the credit report is generated. This term does not include if I'm going directly to my lender, get some feedback here, and that generates a consumer report, that's fine. It's just if you use that to then solicit. We say that you can use a trigger lead to solicit, but then we outline 4 ways that you can or cannot do that. So you've got to state in your initial solicitation, hey, consumer, I got your lead from somewhere else. That's number 1. Number 2, you've got to follow all federal guidelines in regards to current, pre-screen solicitations and how we currently do that. Number 3, you can't reach out to folks who've already opted out of a pre-screen solicitation. And then finally, all rates and terms and everything that you offer have to be consistent. You can't do a bait and switch. So those are the terms of which you can use a mortgage trigger lead. Again, the Bankers Association, Realtors, everyone's in favor of this, behind it and supportive. So we'd love your favorable consideration.
As I recall in our first meeting, it seemed like there was no opposition and everyone seemed real favorable. And I see the bankers nodding their heads in the audience. I have one question, number 27.
Time, I move we do pass, Mr. Chairman.
I think now is the proper time. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion, any questions? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? You have
Thank
your
you,
bill,
Mr.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Let's go eat.